All right. Good evening, everyone. So today we are not going to spend very long because I just want to share the resources with some of you guys that may want to start learning on your own to move ahead. So yesterday um, we talked about mindset from learning to building, like having the right mindset to approach going from wanting to learn to how to build. But today we're going to go a little more hands-on. We're going to share actionable insights. We're going to share resources and tools for you to actually get started with learning and with building. Okay. Okay, so for most people, the problem is not resources, the lack of resources. Like you can find information for whatever you are looking for online. I think the problem is usually um, following a structured pathway, like a structured direction. So that's why we have this community. We are here to guide you guys. So let's move on. So you want to start learning. How do you start? Well, I recommend you start small, right? Pick a niche. You could pick, say, maybe data science, you could pick data analysis, you could pick maybe machine learning. But just don't overthink it. Just pick something and start. And when you start, you might try to make a very huge mistake, and that is trying to do everything, right? So just stick with what you start with for a while. If you are unclear about what you start with, just start first, right? When you start after a while, you are going to gain more clarity on on the field you choose, so you can decide to either move to another area or just stop doing it. So this is the process. I've talked about this process. I talked about it yesterday also. So first you try to learn. Yes, you learn and then you attempt things on your own. And when you attempt things, sometimes you get stuck, sometimes you don't. But when you get stuck, you do your findings, you try to fix it, and then you repeat. Right. This is where the real learning happens. Right. This place is where the real learning happens. Because if you just consume information and then you just think you know it, what is proof that you actually know something? That's why when you want to apply for jobs and you send your CV, on your CV you list the skills that you have, but your projects don't reflect those skills. Say you know how to use Python now, but there's no Python project on your resume, right? So you need to show, not just tell. And yeah, so this is where we are really going to today. So if you are very new to it, if you want to go into data science, maybe data analysis or machine learning, right? This is how you get started. So I'll recommend you start by learning Python. Right? Python is because these fields leverage Python. Now, if you're asked what you are into, you don't say you are into Python, right? You talk about the field you are into. So Python is just a tool that you use to get what you want in that field. And Python is not the only tool, but Python is a very beginner-friendly language, and it is even used by experts, right? So if you're on YouTube, if you prefer YouTube for learning, I recommend Programming with Mosh. He has a crash course on Python. I think he has other courses on Python too. You can check out this YouTube channel. And then we have Free Code Camp YouTube channel. They make very long videos. You can't watch it at one stretch, but they are usually very long. Some of them 8 hours. So you can check out Free Code Camp channel too. And then Three Blue One Brown. If you are trying to understand, if you are trying to understand some ML concepts, this channel breaks it down very well. So YouTube is free. It has a lot of content. So these channels may not even be the best for you. I remember one time when I was learning web development, it wasn't the popular channels that were helping me. It was the not so popular ones, right, that were helpful. And another one is Coursera, Supervised Machine Learning by Andrew Ng. So this course is like very good for beginners. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Coursera courses are usually very structured, and you can get to apply for financial aid because they are not free. Right? Most of the courses they are not free, but you can apply for financial aid, and if you are granted, you get to get a certificate from the course. You also get access to their labs. So the best course for beginners is, let me see if I can find it. Someone hand is raised. Okay, try rejoining again, Joshua, I believe. Probably from your end. If you guys can see my screen, please react. Okay, so try rejoining again. So this is the best online course for beginners. The best course, right? It's by Andrew Ng. Okay, Oluwasegun, your hand is raised.
Yes,
Ask.
sir. Good evening, sir. Hello, sir.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Please, can you help with the link to this course, this Coursera course? You
Okay,
can just send it to the group chat here.
yeah, I will send it. The links will be sent to the WhatsApp group.
No, Wala. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this course is the best for beginners by Deep Learning AI and Stanford, and the tutor is mainly Andrew Ng. So this, if you want to go into ML, this is like the first course I recommend. That is after you learn like the basics of Python, but this course is very good for you. It's going to give you like a very wide overview of what the field is like. Very interesting course. And the tutor has a very calming voice also. So if you visit this site and you want to apply, this is a specialization. So it will consist of several courses in it. And here we can see this is the first course, supervised machine learning, regression and classification. Now I'm already enrolled. I've actually taken the course before. So let's say, so if you visit this site, you are going to, on your own part, you might see financial aid available, or you might see audits. So if you audit the course, you don't get access to the assignments, you don't get access to the labs, and you don't get a certificate. But you can take the course for free, you can watch all the videos, right? So I think this also happened to me. I think the first time I audited the course, then later when I wanted the certificate, I had to use my other account to take the course again and get the certificate. But I recommend you apply for financial aid. Right? I think some courses they give you 90% off, some of them they give you everything off. Right? And those aid usually last for maybe 3 to 6 months. But I think this whole specialization is meant to take you like 6 months. I think if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see I have this certificate. So really interesting course for you to start then. It's been a while I used Coursera. Trying to see what it's still like. Yeah, so this is the course content. You can always view the course content and material before you even apply for it if it's what you want. All right, moving on. So that is Coursera, and then we have Kaggle. Now, Kaggle is a really interesting platform. I think it's owned by Google also. So they provide courses there also on that link. So these are the courses they provide: introduction to programming, and these courses are usually hands-on. So they are not video courses where you just sit and watch video. You are going to be forced to do something before you move to the next stage. Right? That's why it's really good. So introduction to, and the same thing too with the Coursera on. You have to pass the assignments you are given before you earn a certificate. So you have intro to programming, Python. So if you are new to programming at all, so just take it in this order: intro to Python, intro to programming, then Python. Then you can now take the supervised machine learning. Now this one is going to take you a while because you can see here it's 3 weeks, but you might likely spend longer and might spend a shorter time. But they have courses, and these courses they are free. These courses are free, and you get a certificate from it also. So maybe I can view my certificates from here. Okay. These are the courses I've taken in the past from here. This is how your certificate looks like, and you can post it to LinkedIn. So Kaggle is a really interesting platform for you. Yesterday I talked about them having data sets also. So Kaggle is like an all-in-one type of platform if you wish to get started in ML. Also, competitions. There are always competitions on Kaggle. It's prizes. Look at this. AI Mathematics Olympiad. There are always competitions there. Someone's giving swag, predicts customer churn. If you remember, we talked about this in one of our classes. They're predicting churn, like whether someone is going to leave or not, and just see it. And the thing is that if you're applying for competitions like this, a lot of time you think you don't know a lot, so where would you actually reach? But I understood this one time when I applied for one, which was the blue chip AI competition. I think it was 2024, right? And I checked the leaderboard and I saw myself somewhere high. I saw myself somewhere high, and I saw some other people that I knew from the industry, and you see that your score is really, really close. And then you start to wonder, is it that these people are not actually good, or is it that you are actually good? So sometimes you may just, even people that have experience, sometimes it's like a really humbling field, right? So just give it a shot if you have some knowledge and just apply for these competitions. So you can see they have other stuff here. So models, you can play around with the models. You can see codes other people have written. So check out the platform. So that's Kaggle. And then documentation. So for documentation, what I mean is whenever a technology comes out, the companies will usually provide a website that will tell you how to use it. So all programming languages have that documentation. See Python, for example, now. Python has its own documentation and decide to read the entire Python documentation. Although you are going to be reading a lot of things you won't eventually use. So Python is not a good type of documentation to read, but there's one called TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a framework for machine learning that allows you to easily build neural network, deep learning models. So TensorFlow is a good documentation to read. At times, when you are working, you get stuck. You try to figure out what the problem is. You find it in the documentation. So this is TensorFlow. You might have heard of it before. You might have heard of PyTorch. They are used for same thing. So this is Python code, right? It's Python code. So interesting stuff. Can check them out too. So I've talked about where to learn. So you can check out programming with Mosh on YouTube. You can check Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp. They also have a website. They are non-profit. Let me see if I can pull that up. So these are all learning platforms. This is Free Code Camp. They have several other courses there, not just Python. There's several other courses. So these are the courses you can see they have for front end, full stack. They have several other courses. The curriculum has actually changed. I don't think it was like this before. Let's look at this. See, they used to have one on information. I can't remember information systems also, but you can check them out too. They have a Python one, and you get a certificate after it. All right. So I've talked about what to learn. Now, other resources, right? Other resources. We have Google Colab, Twitter Notebook, and Cargo. So you might have heard of Google Colab before. We'll be using it in the coming weeks. So Google Colab, you think of it this way: on your laptop, the laptop may not be powerful, right? But sometimes when you are working with machine learning method, you would need like a really powerful system. But since you don't have it, you would leverage Google Colab because if you're using Google Colab, it's like you're using a computer resource that is somewhere and you're using it for your own use, right? So that's what Google Colab does. They give you free compute resources like RAM and GPU. So it also follows a notebook format, also by Google. So this is how it looks. So each of these cells, so .ipynb is notebook format, and what we have here are cells. So you can just type something here, and it will run to show your GPU usage. So your system does not need to be powerful if you are working with powerful stuff on Google Colab, right? So it runs it, it gives you the output on the same cell. You can add a new cell and continue. So this is how Google Colab works. If you are just starting, most of the time you either be using Google Colab or you'll be using Jupyter Notebook. For Jupyter Notebook, that is not online, that one is local, right? But for quick prototyping, you would want to use Colab because you would not need to install some things. You will not need to you will not worry about environmental issues. But when you are doing it locally, you are going to run into some of those kind of problems. So both has their pros and cons. You can check out Jupyter Notebook. You can download it. There's also Jupyter Labs. So it's also a notebook, right? And Cargo also has notebook. So you can create a notebook in Cargo. Very similar. Notebooks are like the same across platform. They are notebooks. So Cargo also does something very similar to Google Colab and create notebooks you can run on it. They give you access to GPUs too that you can play with. So this is notebook, very similar to Cargo. You can add more code, type it. So that's Cargo for you. So you can see that the problem here is not that there are no resources, right? There are resources. It just depends on how you approach using these resources. And then we have AI engineering book. Now this is a book I started reading recently by Chief Huyen. So if you have some experience with ML and AI already, like you've actually built things before, you can check out this book. It talks about the transition from ML, a little bit of history, then the technical stuff. So I recommend you check out this book too if you have some experience already. And then we have Dev Post. Dev Post is generally for hackathons, right? So if you are if there's a hackathon going on, you most likely find it on Dev Post. Now, usually it's different from cargo competitions. Sometimes you will see a competition on both places, but if you see a competition on cargo, you are most likely submitting on cargo, right? But their post is not like that. So let's check out their post. I've known it for a while now. So not just ML related hackathons, like hackathons generally. You can see these are ongoing hackathons. And filter by what you like also. There are always hackathons going on, online, global. You can check it out. All these links will be shared and you can also check it out now. The one thing I want to say is that you have to be careful with how you consume content. Now it's very easy for you to just sit and watch this YouTube, just watch videos from this YouTube channel and you think you are actually gaining something. It just depends on how you learn. But if you've done programming for a while and you are very observant, you will see that people that don't usually follow conventional routes, that they don't do what most people do, they are actually better at programming than others. Say, for example, now, this guy programming with Mosh, right? He both had the same resources using to teach this Python course now, and that's the Python documentation, right? For the Python documentation, if you decide to read it from start, you're going to spend a lot of time on it, right? I mean, you are going to go through a lot of unnecessary stuff, but you'll be able to create something out of it. You'll be able to talk about things that people that call themselves Python devs don't even know, right? So he had the same resource, which is Python, and is using it to teach others. He creates a course out of it. He's making money. So obviously, someone that went through this is going to be very skilled in Python compared to most people, right? So reading is what I'm trying to point out here. Reading books, right? Reading documentation, very important. So don't just stick with videos alone. The books are also very important. Things that force you to learn and think. All right. So for output, you need to at least share. You need to. You need a place to share what you are doing, what you've been working on, right? And your output does not need to be big. It could be something small. You could start small. You can use your output to build your presence. So we have platforms like LinkedIn, Medium, GitHub. If you read the article I sent yesterday on my 100 days of ML journey, that was Medium I used to write it. Opportunities are everywhere, guys. You just need to grab it. LinkedIn even pays writers. There are some articles you would want to read, and you would have to pay to read them. So this is Medium. Sorry, Medium. I mean, so you can write on Medium. There are also other platforms you can write on. There's Hashnote, there's DevTools. So output, just put yourself out there. These are articles I've written. So that's Medium. If you wish to write an article on what you've learned so far this week or about this bootcamp, and use Medium. Medium is well respected, is widely known compared to other ones. And then we have LinkedIn too, right? LinkedIn is just for visibility. I posted my experience at the Africa Deep Tech Conference recently. Right? That is me putting myself out there because you never know when opportunities will come. When I was applying to be the reigning lead, then when reigning first started, the interviewer told me, "Oh, she actually knows me. She sees what I do on LinkedIn." And I've seen LinkedIn change people's lives also. I've started with people who were posting consistently on LinkedIn and they got scholarships just from LinkedIn. LinkedIn has helped some people get their laptops, right? You just need to show up. You just need people to see that you exist and that this is what you do. So that's why output is very important, right? Another thing is that it can serve as a tool to help you track your growth, right? So I think this was one of the reasons I was even posting my 100 days of ML on Twitter and LinkedIn then. So I could go back to day one and see what I was learning then, and then day 100, this is what I've been able to achieve, or whatever I'm doing, I can always trace it back to LinkedIn. So if I sometimes I don't even remember some of the things I've done. If I'm trying to remember, I just know that oh, I must have posted it on LinkedIn. I just check it there. So LinkedIn helps me keep everything, my achievements, whatever I have in one place, so I can just easily pull out information from there. So output. So those are the platforms you can use for your output. So you can submit any of those things we've talked about. Okay, one more is GitHub. So if you are writing code, let's say you write a code and then how do I even explain it for beginners now? So say you write a code, right? And then your system gets spoiled. Like if you're just starting out and you don't know what Git and GitHub is, like that's the end for you, right? Unless you're able to recover it from your hard drive. But if you've been working on a project for a while and then you lose access to your computer, you can't recover it back. So that's one way Git comes in. So when you build your projects and you do something called you upload it to Git or GitHub, right? You are going it serves as a way to store your code online. So whenever you need it, you can just access it back. So we'll be talking about GitHub too at some point during this camp. I recommend you all create a GitHub account also. Okay. So about all my projects are on GitHub. I've not released this repository yet, but all my projects are on GitHub. So I don't have all this on my system, but if I need them, I just need to save this one now. If I need these projects I've built and I want to continue working on it, I just need to clone it. on my laptop. When I clone it, all these files get downloaded and I can just continue on my coding platform. Right. So that's one way GitHub is important. Another is collaboration. Right. I can visit another person's project and then request to make changes on their work. See, for example, now OpenAI just released this, right, by OpenAI, train the smallest language model you can that fits in 16 MB. Okay, I think this is a competition also. But let's say I see a project I like on this place now, or I see an issue. Maybe there's a problem with the software. These are issue raised here. You can raise an issue that, oh, something is not working. See other people's issue here. Can we use Z standard? So these are issues here. Pull requests are like, okay, this is what I want to contribute to the project. So these are what people say they want to contribute. Someone wants to add to the documentation, add local NVIDIA GPU workflow, right? So you can contribute. So all this is related to open source. So whenever you're doing something like this, it's stamped as open source. You're building a project that other people can clone, can modify, or you can contribute to other people's work and all that. That's open source. So if you have not been using Git and you've been coding, you have to learn how to use Git. It's used in the professional setting also. You see, when you want to apply for jobs, they will tell you, oh, send your GitHub. Some request only GitHub, so because your project, they expect that your project are on GitHub. So GitHub serves as a central place for you to keep your project. So these are projects. Now you have all these platforms for learning. You have all these platforms for output. So how then do you now avoid overwhelming yourself? Well, one reason you would even overwhelm yourself is when you have too much resources, like when you are jumping into resources. When I was learning when I was taking this supervised learning course, this was the only course I was taking then. I wasn't I wasn't hopping around. This course is sufficient when you are just starting, right? So if I was hopping around, I will feel too overwhelmed. And I get that you might want to hop around if you feel, or maybe things are moving slow, or you feel like you are being left behind. But I can tell you that in the next 5 years, machine learning will still be relevant, AI will still be relevant. And why do I say this? Is that AI will become the foundation of things. People start to build on AI. We've already started seeing it. There's something they call predictive markets. There's something they call, you might have heard of it, you might have heard of open claw agents, right? People are building on top of AI. AI is now like at the base level. So that means even in the next 5 years, AI will still be relevant. Like nothing's coming to replace AI soon. Right? So keep that in mind. Just take your time when you are doing this and avoid switching resources constantly. So today you are on Coursera, next day you are on maybe Kaggle. So don't do it that way. You are going to it's going to clash, right? Different resources have different things they are trying to tell you, and you start to confuse yourself at one point. So stick to one resource, finish it. You can do a little Google search, but don't go too deep into other resources to finish. Another one is comparing yourself. I wasn't even comparing myself when I just started, right? Because I barely knew people that were doing it then. I was just doing my own stuff. And I like to think I started early. I started machine learning in 2022 because then it wasn't even as popular. And I think one reason I actually went into it was because by nature, I don't like doing things many other people do. So then many people were not into machine learning. I think it was 2022 ChatGPT came out. Yeah, around December. Yeah, and I was already learning machine learning before then. So I just knew it was coming. I just knew people were actually going to go into it. And look at today now. Everybody wants to learn machine learning. I saw a job description today on genomics, that's genetics engineering, and they preferred if the person applying had machine learning experience. So you can see it's becoming the foundation now for more things to come. So those are ways you can avoid overwhelm. Resources are so many out there, like so many. You just need to pick one and get started with them. So if you are making your output, if you are writing a post, posting on social media, post about your project, ensure to use this hashtag to be able to keep track of who is posting and what. You can use the hashtag on Medium to for tracking. So today is meant to be very short because we've come to the end of the week. We've come to the end of the main content. Tomorrow is just going to be chill. You guys will have more chance to even talk. You guys will get to talk, we get to know each other, and you can ask random questions also. So, does anyone have any questions so far about what I've said? Okay, there's a question. Go on, Joshua.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Joshua. Hello, Joshua, I can
Sir,
hear you.
my question is that right now, with this technology that we have now that I can write it for, okay, with this article that we have now, with this technology we have that nowadays, is it actually necessary for us to type the article, or what can we do to write those articles? That's what my question is.
I get your question. The thing is that AI cannot just replace humans just yet in writing, right? Why do I say this? If any of you got the mail I sent from SPE, I can't remember what I titled it as, but I sent a mail to all SPE members through the official SPE mail. If you read the mail, you are going to see that it's not AI generated. It was typed. You are going to feel the connection. Let me put it that way. If AI, the reason why AI checkers are able to tell if something is AI generated is because of the way AI writes. They'll tell you AI is usually using a uniform tone throughout. It will tell you the word length are usually like the same. And if you read something that is AI, you're also going to know. So some companies just prefer to get something done. I mean, if you're writing documentation, for example, right, maybe you could use AI and all. But if you are there are cases where you would want to transfer that emotion to another person, and AI cannot just do that. If you see an AI post, you're going to definitely tell that it is AI. And if you see a human written one, you are also going to tell. So if you've not even read the mail was like a call to tell all SP members that we were starting our boot camp soon. So if you go through the mail again, you are going to see what I'm talking about. Right. So it's not replacing writers soon. In fact, there's a platform called I can't remember the name. Do you know there are platform outside that pays you to write? I can't remember the name of this site actually. Maybe when I remember the name, I'll get it. The site lists other platforms that you can get paid that pays people to write for them. There are so many, some starting from $100 for beginners. So if you have articles on LinkedIn, because they will ask you for some of the articles you've written before. That's before they accept. So for each article you write, maybe you can get paid like $60, $100, and all that. So it's still relevant. You are not just writing. How do I put it to you now? Say you have an experience you want to share now, right? First off, to even if you want AI to even generate it for you, you have to first tell AI what you want, right? Before it is even AI mostly should just help you refine your words. So AI is not replacing it's not replacing human writers soon because you can easily tell something's AI. And when your first instinct is that something is AI, you don't really want to read it anymore. Right? You just feel like you've lost that connection. So writing is still very relevant. You are writing for yourself mainly, right? You're writing for other people to learn, not just technical stuff. So does anyone have? Okay, I think I saw a question before. Okay, if you were to advise your younger self, would you recommend mastering all aspects of Python in like 400 days of code by Angela before starting a machine learning journey? Honestly, 100 days of code, I don't know. I've heard of Angela Yu, but I've not taken her course before on Udemy. And Udemy is the way the platform is structured, you can just skip to the end and it will mark it as read. It's a lazy form of learning. I mean, what's the point of getting a certificate if you don't even know most of what you learned? You can't master all aspects of Python. In fact, you're not even going to use all aspects of Python. For example, I'm not sure I've even used something like this before. Struct. Struct is a data type, right? I'm not sure I've used this before. You can't use everything in Python. It's going to be overkill. Python is a very wide language. There are some things you will not have even heard. Don't worry, if you go through the documentation, if you decide to go through the documentation, you're going to see a lot of things. A lot of things in Python you won't even use. So you know what, just explore. I don't recommend you master everything in Python because the goal the goal is not to consume content. The goal is to create something out of it. Right? So what if you consume all the content? I mean, how do you prove you're a master in something? Right? If you say mastering all aspects, how do you prove you're a master in something? It's by what you can do, right? By what you can do. It's not really about what you know. Okay, before starting a machine learning journey, the basics of Python are enough to start taking that course, the supervised learning course I shared before. So play around with Python, build mini projects, build like maybe two or three, but don't rush it. Right? If you still enjoy Python, go for you can do multiple things with Python. Learn Python. But I'm only recommending you learn Python before you move to this to the Coursera one. You don't have to, but I just recommend that. Okay, so Adam asks, to what extent should the basics be learned before starting to leverage on AI? Well, you cannot know all. Some courses will be some courses will be Python for AI, and they will teach you only the Python necessary. They teach you the Python necessary to learn. They teach you the Python necessary to learn AI. But the problem is that Python can be used for a lot more stuff. In the real world, you are going to be going beyond notebooks. In the real world, you are going to be going beyond all this. You cannot use this to create an app. You can use it to build a model. You can use it to test out some stuff, but you cannot use this to. You can't deploy this, right? If you want someone to use this now, how are you going to go from here to actually turning it to a web app? Right? So if you learn Python just for AI, it's most likely going to be teaching you how to build models. But if you know Python, if you start with like the fundamentals of Python, you're going to learn a lot more. You might learn how Python can be used to create a web app. There's a tool called Fast API, for example. Now, you use it to create what we call endpoints. It's just for your apps. So having that general knowledge of Python is usually enough, and you can from there you can leverage on AI. If you look at the codes they use to build AI, they are mostly just Python codes, right? Coding is just an abstraction of mathematics. It's very easy to train a model nowadays, like very easy. In 20 lines of code, you can train your model if your data is ready. 20 lines of code, you'll be able to build a neural network. This code I showed you, this is it. This is the code. You train your model on this data, you normalize it. This is your architecture. You add some things to verify, to measure how it is doing and all. And then you train it and you are done. This is how simple this is. This is still Python code, by the way. So the basics are enough to get started, right? They are enough to get started, but they are not enough to do whatever you want to do. I mean, the more you know something, the more you should be able to do, right? So if you are just stuck in the fundamentals of Python, what happens when you want to like really build an advanced AI system now? It means you would have to go back to learning Python that can be used for advanced stuff. I hope that answers your question. So are there any other questions? If you have questions, you can still type them. You can drop them in the community also if you have questions later. And you can also speak now if you have questions. I thought the hand was raised now.
Sir, sir, I have a question again.
Okay, go on, Joshua.
Okay, sir, you said we should create a GitHub account. Is there a, because what I know, what I heard that to create a GitHub account is very, very difficult. You have to know some things. Is that true? Or is just like normal creating of accounts too, sir?
Uh, it's just like normal creating of accounts. How do I? I'm trying to think of the way to demonstrate it to you. You can use your Google account to create a GitHub account. I don't want to create another profile just for this, but enter your email, sign up for GitHub. Maybe they send you a link. It's very easy to start. It's very easy to start using GitHub. It's not. Why will a company want to make it difficult for you to start using it? So this is the sign up page. Continue with Google, put in your password and all, and create your account. So it's easy. Try it yourself. And if you are stuck, you can just ask on the community. Oh, I've actually been speaking since and I did not even know. So Jeremy is asking, what's the career path like? So there's actually a week dedicated for this. But what you should know is that for a machine learning engineer, for machine learning, there are usually two parts. Either you do research, that's academia, or you do applied ML, right? Or some people try to even do both. So what that means is for companies like OpenAI, those people that are building their models, maybe you hear of GPT 5.2 coming out today, those are machine learning researchers, right? They are focused on building state of the art models, focused on building breakthrough, coming up with new algorithms, new architectures. Those are those kinds of people. We have people like that in all these top AI companies. All top AI companies usually have researchers. Google DeepMind, Gemini, Nvidia, they have people like that. And then we have some other companies that leverage what all these companies have built. So many companies, many startups today, they rely on GPT, right? On GPT LLMs. Those people like that, they will be hiring applied ML engineers. They'll be hiring ML engineers, people in the industry. Right? Most of the industry is applied. You are just trying to apply what all these top companies have done to solve your problems. So that's it. If you see a company that is not like a popular AI company, right? Most likely, and they call themselves an AI company, right? Most likely they are just leveraging GPT models, they are leveraging maybe Claude, they are leveraging Llama, right? So that's just it. Although we'll talk more about it in the coming weeks. There's a week dedicated for that to really tell you what is out there also. So I guess we have come to the end of I guess we've come to the end. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining. We'll see tomorrow. Okay, there's another question. Okay, go on, Jeremy. Jeremy, are you there?
Okay, I'm giving you, sir.
Yeah, good evening again, Jeremy.
Okay, on the first day, you said something about points from participation.
Yes.
To this week, and how do I know like where I am, my points and stuff?
I don't know, but it's being tracked, right? We have volunteers tracking it. The calls are recorded, so it's easy for us to get that.
Okay,
Did
sir.
you get?
Okay.
All right, Jeremy. All right, I guess that is all. So you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and we shall meet tomorrow. Tomorrow is just going to be casual. Nothing, no slides is going to be prepared. So take care, everyone. Cheers.